Good evening and welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of the Pack Homer Podcast. I hope you're back joining us. Last week was the most listened to Pack Homer episode in our brief little history. Did we already lose Wesley? We lost Wesley we lost Wesley. Oh, he's back. We lost Wesley 8 seconds in.
Hell.
Goodness. All right. There he is. Sorry to delay our start there. We were missing a valued voice. Can you hear us, Wesley?
I don't know what the hell is going on. I guess I'm here. I don't know.
Guys, we've been trying to start this thing since 8 o'clock tonight. So us trying to get the pod up and going tonight was about like the sixth inning of last night's baseball game.
Ooh.
But anyway, the Pack win 2 out of 3 over Virginia Tech in ACC play. Had a midweek win versus North Carolina A&T. Before we get into breaking down that action, going to give you a little ACC recap. Already mentioned NC State 2-1 over Virginia Tech. Louisville wins 2 out of 3 over the Hills. Clemson is a 2-1 series winner over Notre Dame. Notre Dame won Game 3 today. Wake Forest swept Miami 3-0. Florida State swept Boston College 3-0. UVA won 2 out of 3 over Cal, and it took an 8-run ninth inning in Game 2 for them to do that. They won that game 10-8, but they ended up winning the series 2-1. Stanford sweeps Duke, so Duke is reeling a little bit. And Georgia Tech was a 2-1 series winner versus our opponent next weekend,
Pitt Panthers.
The Pitt Panthers. So if you look at ACC play now, you have 2 undefeated teams left, Florida State and Wake Forest. Florida State at 3-0, Wake at 6-0. And then you have Stanford at 5-1, Clemson at 2-1, Louisville at 2-1, Georgia Tech at 4-2, NC State at 2-1. Virginia at 3-3, and everybody else below 500, including Duke and UNC, who are both preseason top 25 teams. Duke and UNC both at 2-4, and Miami a traditional power 0-3 after their first weekend of ACC action. Another game of note, and then if you guys want to throw in any that you've monitored this weekend or series of note, our previous or early season opponent Alabama swept Texas A&M this weekend in their first weekend of SEC play. So that loss right now looks like, while a win would have helped us, it probably is going to be inconsequential as Alabama wins all three games in that series over A&M. I think A&M's like 10-9 now. They were preseason number 1 in the country, so not abnormal to see things not play out as expected in college baseball. But Wesley, they're kind of reeling down there. Don't you have some friends in College Station?
Yeah, those guys are shook up right now. They're in a bad place.
So yeah, rough start. So Wolfpack this week, they opened up their week, won another midweek game, which was nice to see. A 14-2 win over North Carolina A&T. Did a lot of things good in that game. Braden Fraseman hit a home run for us. Ty Head hit another home run. Cooper Consiglio started and threw 3 innings of scoreless ball. I think the biggest takeaway from that game for me, probably you guys too, is that we saw D-Rock for the first time. How excited were you to see that man trot back out to the mound at Doak Field?
A pleasant surprise.
Yeah, not only did we see him, go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just going to say, I think where you're going is not only did we see him, but man, he had him crossed up. He was, I don't remember how many strikes he threw, but he threw 2 that went about 55 feet that he got swings and misses on. So he definitely had him swinging and missing.
Yeah, D-Rock came in, threw 16 pitches, 10 for a strike, struck out the side, gave up an infield single, I think, to start the end, and then struck out 3 in a row. So nice to see him back. I didn't see him this weekend. I think they're trying to ease him back into the mix, but he His velocity was down. I think he topped out at
What was he at, like
91.
90? Yeah, I saw 91. I didn't see any higher than that. I didn't see any higher than that on the screen.
He topped out at 91. I think he threw a lot of pitches right around that 88 to 90 range. The slider, I think, was down a few RPMs, but it still looked pretty unhittable. Like Adam said, he threw a couple of pitches that never came within 2 foot of home plate that they were swinging at. So the nasty still seems to be there. Then ACC play opens up, and game one, we are an 11-1 winner over Virginia Tech. If you guys follow ACC baseball closely, Brent Renfro, who started for Virginia Tech, is kind of slated to be one of the higher picks in the upcoming draft or when he's draft eligible. He kind of held us at bay. We started out the game down 1-0 through 4. Really couldn't get anything going. And even in the game, we early in the game didn't have a whole lot of traffic, and then Mr. Head put us on the scoreboard, hit a 2-run blast, put us up 2-1, and we never looked back. And we kind of chased Renfro pretty quick after that. Ended up winning the game 11-1 in 7 innings. So we went from not scoring in the first 4 frames to a run rule victory. What do you guys takeaways from that? I'll start with you, Adam.
Yeah, I think I said once we were up, I guess it was like about 6 or 8 there. I said, let's go ahead and run rule these guys and get out of here. Kind of felt like, once we got to the pen that that next guy who came in which is a pretty intimidating guy. I think that was the long-haired guy, maybe. But I'm not sure he got an out. I'm not looking at the stats, but anyway, we continued to lay into him pretty good. So yeah, I was excited through these first 2 games. And the pitching, the other thing I was gonna say is our pitching. Um, um, Dom looked great too. That was the other thing I was gonna add.
Yeah, like Adam said, Dom was sensational. I don't think you could ask for much more than he gave us, and it was really good to see Hefner kind of bust things open there. Um, he struggled at the plate, a little bit this year, so it was definitely good to see Hefner get us on the scoreboard and kind of get things rolling on Friday night.
That was Head on Friday night, Wesley. Hebner was the next
I
day.
mean, yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, head. I
We
mean,
had technical difficulties. We're glitching. Adam is in like witness protection somewhere in the mountains right now. So you guys just bear with us. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, in that game, Don Fritton ends up going 7 innings, only gives up 2 hits, strikes out 8, lowers his ERA down, or I don't know if he lowered it or not. I can't remember exactly where he's at, but he's at 126 now in the season. After Head kind of broke the seal on it with his 2-run home run, Chris McHugh hit one that kind of, I don't know if it's landed. He got into one pretty good, and then the floodgates seemed to open up. DeCrescio hit a double in that game. Alex Sosa hit a double in that game. And we just poured it on them 11-1, ended up having 15 hits in a 7-inning ball game. Then we come back game 2, and this is where Wesley was going with Matt Hefner putting us on the board first. 0-0 early in that game. Matt Hefner comes up in the 2nd inning, I believe it was, and hits a 2-run home run to put us on the board. Virginia Tech claws back, takes a 3-2 lead. They had a lefty going for them, Jake Marciano. We talked about him last week, that kind of seemed to confuse us all day. We only had 6 hits in the ball game, and 3 were from Luke Nixon. Drew Lanphier had a hit. Hefner had a hit. Ty Head had a hit. So we got all 6 of our hits in that ball game out of the 7, 8, 9 slot of the lineup, which I thought was nice to see. Last year we kind of won some games where down in the lineup we counted on some guys to get things going. This year kind of been leaning on Chris McHugh pretty heavily, and Josh Hogue, as he's been kind of hot lately. But in that game, Heath Andrews goes 5 1/3, and Andrew Schaffner comes in and goes 3 2/3. of scoreless baseball, struck out 5, and we end up winning the game 6-3. Another big swing in that game was Luke Nixon as of late in the game. In the bottom of the 8th, Nixon hits a 2-run home run. I don't know if you guys watched on TV, but Virginia Tech was a little bit mouthy. It felt like all weekend. And when Luke teed off there in the 8th, he was kind of giving it to him, coming down the third base down the third baseline when he was rounding the bases. But so 6-3 win there kind of sealed the series. Any takeaways from that ball game you guys would like to add? Start with you this time, Wesley.
Yeah, I mean Luke's 3 hits, and then of course that home run was definitely good to see. And then of course get Hebner right now. Then obviously Hebner and just the bottom half of the lineup producing. I think that was really important in that game as well.
Adam?
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I thought that we had some timely hits to get the runs that we did. Honestly, it felt like just some things were finally going our way. After it was a pretty stalled out run effort early on Friday, in the early innings, and then it felt kind of the same way in game 2. But it felt like the advantage that you're supposed to have when you're playing at home too.
No, I agree. And then you can kind of tell we've been kind of holding our breath the whole podcast to get to game 3. Not that we want to be negative, but I think every one of us, our consensus was that we got to game 3. We haven't thrown what we felt like up to this point. He's neck and neck with Dom as being our best arm so far this year in Ryan Marone. And not only have we not, we still had Marone left. Virginia Tech, I think by the time we got to game 3, had already thrown 7 or 8 different arms. And so we roll into
Our
game 3
three,
with
right?
a fresh
We had only thrown
bullpen.
3.
We'd thrown Dom, Schaffner, and Heath, who started game 2. And so we roll into game 3. I mean, we feel like we got the war chest just fully stocked up. We hadn't seen Anderson Nance yet. We hadn't seen Cooper Consiglio since midweek. Duden, Wimbish, Willardson, Kelly, all guys that threw in that game. Jackson Lucas threw earlier in the week, and I was kind of surprised we didn't see him in that game. So I hope everything's all right with him. I kind of didn't expect to see D-Rock. Like I said, they're easing him back. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I was going to say Jackson Lucas never went to the bullpen either. He was in the dugout the whole time.
So that was a little bit concerning for me that we didn't see Lucas. But anyway, to get back to the game, we jump out to a 6-4 lead. Actually, they tie it in the top of the 4th at 6-6. We get out of this out of the 4th with a double play, a bases loaded double play.
Huge.
And then we go. Both teams go scoreless in the 5th. We go 6-6 into the top of the 6th, and all hell broke loose. I was there. I think it was 49 minutes that Virginia
They
Tech
said 51
18,
on TV.
51.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like 2 hours, but they sent
Yeah.
18 guys to the plate. They sent 18 guys to the plate. We walked 7. They had 8 hits. We made an error for a little league home run in center field, and they scored 14 runs in the 6th to go up
And
20-6.
And 2 hit batters on top of all that.
So, yeah, 2 hit batters on top of – you're right. I didn't even write that down on my note sheet here of all the bad stuff that happened. But we threw 71 pitches in the 6th inning. We only threw 7 out of 18 for a first pitch strike. We had 12 walks in game 3, 7 of them in the 6th inning. To tell you how crazy that stat is of 7 walks in the inning, we have pitched 161 innings this season as a pitching staff. 161 innings on the season, and counting that inning, we've still only walked 63 batters. So we have over 10% of our walks on the season in the 6th inning on Saturday night. We've played 20 ball games. and we have
Amazing.
over 10% of the walks in one inning. So it was absolutely as close to unbearable to watch, I think, as as is possible. But kind of scares you, kind of scares you a little bit when that pin isn't what you expect it to be. First question I'm gonna ask, I'll start with you, Wes. Do you think, Marone came out after 57 pitches, he threw 2 and a third. Do you think that we should have rolled with Marone a little longer, or do you think we should have? You think it was the right time to make the pull, and do you think him throwing 126 pitches the previous Sunday, being short a day of rest, had anything to do with that?
I mean, I would have left Marone in. We talked about it several episodes now that he appears to get better as he goes. So, I don't really think that it was anything to do with the previous week at the 126 pitches. I think maybe it's just like we talked about earlier, that we really had a lot of fresh arms and, things weren't going great. So it just seemed like a, easy solution. Hey, we're just going to go ahead and go to the pen. But, I'm guessing that Chrysler or Avent are probably saying now, we should have just stuck with Marone after what happened. But I don't think anyone would have thought we would have had, that much of a command issue, just throwing strikes. And so yeah, I would have left Marone in, but I guess I can see where they based the decision off of just having a lot of fresh arms on, more fresh arms on a Sunday than you would normally see in ACC play.
Adam?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, at the time I didn't question the decision just because of how deep, I knew we still had left in the bullpen. So I didn't question it at the time. Obviously, it's easy to look back and second guess it now, but just being that we had who we had left, I didn't think twice. I did think we would go to Nance pretty quick, and we did, and he just, he obviously just didn't. He just didn't have it like we've seen from him, his last several outings. And you can make that argument about several of the guys. I think seemed like it was a pretty tight strike zone the first. I know the Friday night game was a pretty tight strike zone, but I felt like quite honestly, there in the sixth, we were just missing. Frankly, we were just missing bad a lot too. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that, um, the that inning. I mean, we had a quick hook on several guys. Nance threw 20 pitches. Duden came in. We only threw 10 when he obviously didn't have really a feel for the zone. But Virginia Tech's a hell of an offensive team. And I don't think it looked like it the first 2 games when they scored 4 runs in 13 innings, or 16 innings, I'm sorry. But Virginia Tech came in as a really, really good offensive baseball team. And they got hot and they started hitting some barrels. Really, the way the wind was blowing, a couple of those balls they hit that were down the line, I mean, that were pummeled. Still to try to hit those balls to right or right center would not have carried as well, but they got into a few, and it just started snowballing and going downhill fast. The one thing I've harped on, like I guess for however long we've done these podcasts now, is that you have to throw strike one, and it's still frustrating for me to see us struggle to do that. It seems like when we struggle, that is usually the root of it. We can't get ahead of batters. And it doesn't matter how good your stuff is. When you can't get ahead in counts, it just doesn't play as good. And, when guys are kind of sitting up there looking for one pitch in one spot, I mean, that's a tough spot to be in as a pitcher. You're going to get punished. I mean, when you're standing in the box and you're facing, whoever it is, and so you spit on slider twice, and you're in a 2-0 count, and then all of a sudden you're looking fastball over the heart, or you're not swinging, and it's a tight zone. Guys are having a hard time even throwing it over the plate. Period. You just tend to get punished, and we did that. I don't think it certainly doesn't erase everything we did this week. We talk about how hard it is to win in the ACC. Really, a series win is what matters the most. As you saw with all the series this week, there were not very many sweeps. Virginia took everything they could do to win a series over Cal. Georgia Tech couldn't close out Pitt today. Clemson couldn't close out Notre Dame and get a sweep. So it's hard to sweep in the ACC. But I think it does kind of shine a little bit of light on how important it is to get Mr. Smith back and healthy. I think it just, for us to get where we want to get, we have to shore up the back end of the bullpen and not have to turn to one or two guys to hope that they can shut it down when it's time. Because if this game goes 9 innings, say we get out of that, if we get out of the 6th inning there and it's 6-6 and they turn it in 12-6, I think the game's like a long way from over. They had no arms left. Like Virginia Tech was struggling. We scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th. And we scored 2 runs after we had all but waved the white flag. And they couldn't run anybody out there that could get us out. That's one of those games that if you get out of there and you only give up 6, maybe it ends up being a 14-12 ball game or, 16-14 game or something like that. And the most disappointing part to me was just that we had a fresh bullpen and we couldn't put them away, and they were able to, they were able to run some guys out there for the second time on the weekend and get out of there with a win, a convincing win, a run. So, disappointing. Anything else you guys want to add on that?
I was just going to say, we feel like too, we ended up scoring 8, but even when we had 6, the way our pitching had been going over, what were we at there? We were at a 12-game winning streak, I guess, at that point.
10 game.
Weren't we 2-5?
I think we were 3 and was it 10 or 11 in a row? I think we were 3-5 or
maybe 3-5. Okay, because we're 14-6 now. So,
yep.
Yeah, maybe it was 11 or whatever. It just felt like over that, that stretch, basically that stretch since Jacksonville, that our pitching, you felt like 6 or 8 runs was enough to win the game, especially with the ERAs we've had from our starters, how deep they've been able to go, and then these guys in the bullpen too. We know Duden's had some struggles at times, but had to look good in several outings, and I felt like they had done a good job giving him some work and building his confidence back up. And Wimbush had to look good. Obviously, we talked about Anderson Nance. We've been real excited about him. Consiglio, obviously, he just couldn't find the zone yesterday either. Walks and a couple wild pitches I think he had, but yeah, you just feel like that's enough to win. But I think, like you mentioned, Cal or something, it just goes to show how hard it is to sweep in this league.
All right, before we move on, we told you last week we were going to talk a little bit about our ACC predictions after we had another week of data this week. But we do need to pick our Pack Homer Pod pitcher and hitters of the week. We kind of chatted a little bit about this, but on the pitcher of the week, I'll let Mr. Wilson go first.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. So Dom, right?
I think we're in all in agreement there.
Same for me,
Adam.
Yeah, Dom for me this week.
Mr. Fritton. And guys, we were critical of Dom plenty last year. All of the, I guess, your loyal Wolfpack baseball fans, it got bounced around whether or not to send that guy to the pen or not. But man, it's been we've been very happy to see him bounce back. We're happy for him. We talked about all along he's got the stuff, but last year a couple of times had a hard time getting out of his own way with walks and command issues. But Dom, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 hits versus a lineup we all already have talked about. Was so good. And he's got a 1.26 ERA now through 5 appearances, 39 strikeouts in 28 innings. So I think Dom this week especially was a easy pick for pitcher of the week. As far as hitter of the week, for hitter of the week, I have my vote in for Mr. Chris McHugh. Mr. McHugh went 6 for 13 on the week. That's what I had him down as. I guess that puts him at 463 for the week. Hit a big home run there in game 2. I think Sosa, I'd say would be an honorable mention for me. Luke Nixon and Hebner, you could talk about too. Had some big swings this week, but my vote is for Chris McHugh. Wesley?
Yeah, like you said, I think there were several guys that had really good weeks. Lamphere had a really good week at the plate. He had a hit in every game. But I think I'll go with Luke. I think the home run he had in game 2 of Virginia Tech, just how the game changing that was, that I'm going to give Luke my vote on that.
All right. Adam, you going for a tiebreaker or are you going to?
I'm going McHugh. I thought that home run, I forgot now. I can't look on my phone because I'm using it, but I forgot to text y'all what Andrew Sanders said when he hit that ball. What did he say? Something about
Into the
the
Raleigh
shot.
night or?
Yeah, into the Raleigh night or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty good line. But yeah, that was a blast. And I even um what did Pack Pack Baseball tweeted out something too, that they had filed a copyright on McHugh Bomb or something like that. They made a comment about, they had already were in the process of trademarking or something. Yeah, just an absolute shot. But yeah, I mean, continues to
Yep.
play good. And honestly, the other thing I'll say about McHugh is he looked. I mean, we talked about this early on too, but he looked really solid at first. I thought all week. He was a little shaky there, seemingly the first couple games, but he made a couple of nice plays, a couple good stretches, a couple good picks. Um, so I thought he looked really solid at playing his position as well.
Yeah, launched into the Raleigh Knights. That's what Mr.
Yeah,
Sanders said.
yeah, launched into the Raleigh Knights. Raleigh
And
Knights.
game 3 didn't turn out like we wanted to, but if you guys, I don't know if you could see it on TV as much as you could in person. McHugh almost killed the pitcher last night in game 3. The ball he hit back up the middle against Virginia Tech last night, it had to have been 110 off the bat. The guy just hits the ball so hard. A big thing, talking about hitters. So Chris McHugh is our Pack Homer Pod hitter of the week. But coming out of our first weekend of ACC action, we got 4 guys that hit over 400 on the weekend. Sosa, Lamphere, McHugh, and Nixon all hit 400 in the first weekend of ACC play. So that is encouraging. Seems like the offense may be coming around a little bit. Now I'm not going to worry. I'm going to take game 3 there with a grain of salt. Not worry too much about the bullpen. I still think this team can be really, really good with that 6th inning on Saturday night aside. So before we talk about next week's series with Pitt, let's do a little run of the ACC and try to predict how many wins we're going to have. Adam, did you say last week you're the only one that predicted us to have over 15 wins? I think me and Wesley both had us at 15 wins last year.
I think
Is that
that's right.
right?
I think y'all did. I think I had us
All
at like
right.
17 or 18 last year. How many did we end up with? I forgot.
Forgot to. I think we won 17, maybe 17 or 18. I'm going to tell you though because you're asking. We owe it to our listeners. Last year in ACC play, we went 18 and 11. All right, 18 wins last year. All right, so right now we're 2-1. I'm going to run down the schedule. I'm going to start with Wesley. We're going to add them up. How many he thinks we get after a weekend of ACC play, and some teams have played 2 series now. All right, Wesley versus Pitt. How many we getting on the road?
3,
All right, at Duke.
2,
Home versus UVA.
2,
Home
Ooh,
versus Louisville.
1,
At Cal.
2,
Home versus Clemson.
1,
At Miami.
1,
At UNC.
1,
Oh,
Home
dang.
versus Stanford.
2.
All right, let's add them up. 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11,
Where
12,
I think so. He's
13,
about
14,
16.
and 2 this week.
where
That's 16.
where was the
Yeah, because
Where was the Carolina
I'm at 8.
series? Where was the Carolina
I'm at
At
series?
18.
UNC.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
All right, so Adam's at 18. Let's see. We
I
got
think I'm the
2.
same thing. I'm the same. I'm the exact same as Wesley, except I got 2 at Miami, and what was the other one that was different? I've added up to 18 though already.
So Adam has this at 18 again. Wesley
And
has this at
he only had
6.
one. He only had one at Carolina.
1 at Carolina.
Yeah, I got 2 there. I got 2 there. So I'm at 18.
Wesley is at 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wesley, you're actually at 17. So Wesley's at 17. Adam's at 18. I'm going to go with.
Oh, you know what the other difference is? I got one other difference is I only got one against Virginia.
All right, I'm going to go that we're going to get 2 against Louisville. I'm the same as you. I got 1 at home versus Virginia. I'm going to take 2 at Miami, 1 versus Clemson, 1 versus Cal, 2 at UNC, 2 to finish the year versus Stanford. So that's going to put me at 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 18. All right, we got 17, 18, and 18. Well, if we do that, we'd probably host. So
Yeah, exactly.
let's hope we're not being overly optimistic. So does that mean all 3 of us pick a 3-game to 0 series win over Pitt this weekend? Is that what we just did?
Oh,
Yes.
3 games and none series win over Pitt. Adam's got his 3-0 over Pitt. I have his 3-0 over Pitt. Pitt is
I watched some of the Pitt Georgia Tech game yesterday. That's why I picked this 3-0.
they scored 2 runs. I mean, they're kind of like Virginia Tech this weekend. They scored 2 runs versus Georgia Tech in the first 2 games of that series. They lost 10-1, and they lost 11-1, and then they put up 12 runs today and won 12-10. So
Okay, yeah.
I think game 3. Hopefully we're going to do a little better job next week. But I like us to win 3. Pitt has a 5.22 ERA on the year. They don't have anyone who really wows you with their with huge strikeout numbers. Their opponents have actually struck them out more than they've struck them out, which early in the season I would say is probably concerning for an ACC pitching staff. They have actually hit less home runs than we have. They've hit 16. We have hit 18, I think. Oh, we might have hit more than 18 now. We've hit 24 now. So, not a ton of pop in the lineup. They actually have a first baseman that leads off for them, Luke
Huh.
Cantwell. He's hitting 406, but he hasn't hit any home runs yet. I like his 3 games to none versus Pitt. Anything I want to add on that?
I don't think so. Our game, our Tuesday night game versus Davidson is at the Kannapolis Cannonballers Stadium. It's like part of their Kannapolis called their Cannonballers College Series. So playing at their ballpark versus I guess their home park maybe.
Yeah, I guess we're playing it at a neutral site.
It's at the minor league
Davidson.
park.
What is Davidson's record on the year? They played
I
probably
think
several ways.
I think 6 and 12. I don't think they're playing very well.
6-12 on the year. Let's see. Who have they played in the ACC? I think that's worth looking at. They have played. Well, they lost 7-3 to South Carolina, and then 7-4 to Clemson, 14-4 to Clemson, 11-4 to Clemson in weekend play. So yeah, they have no. They were competitive with South Carolina, but no major success against Power 4 opponents. So Opportunity to win 4 this week, and if you get 4 this week, you're 18-6. I think what happens in that Pitt series will kind of be critical for the rest of the season for us. I mean, you kind of felt we've talked about it already. You have to win the first 2 series of the year. 4 out of 6 is okay, but you felt like even before the Virginia Tech series, we needed to win 5 out of 6. And we're hoping to win 6. That's off the table. So, got to win the series. It feels like with what we got coming behind it. I can't.
Ooh, yeah.
I can't think Duke's going to struggle, but so long. And we turn right around and go to Duke the following weekend. Then Duke, UVA, Louisville. I mean, that is a gauntlet of good baseball. Louisville is going to be in the polls this week after they knocked off UNC. They 2-hit Carolina today, by the way.
Wow.
So beat them 5-0 at Louisville. And then, then you got a road trip to Cal and Clemson after that at home. I mean, just got the ACC is just tough. We say it every year. And do you guys think that's going to be the case this year? If you win 15 in an ACC play, you're a tournament team?
Yes.
I do.
I mean, Stanford, maybe right now, maybe the most shocking team in that.
Stanford looks good. At least we don't have Florida State.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really about the only one we're missing.
Wesley, we still don't have a basketball coach. You want to make any predictions on that before we jump?
I do not want to open that box.
All right. Well, we're going to hope this thing uploads. We have jumped through all kinds of hoops. If it's a little bit, I don't know what the word is. If you have a little bit of interference in once it's published, we apologize. We had a hard time getting everything ready to go tonight. 3 of us in 3 different spots, but got another big ACC series coming up. Anything before I play the music, boys?
I was going to say, I think this is episode maybe number 31, Cal, total. Yep. We talked about it when we first started that 90% don't make it past 3. And I was looking at something the other day, and I still had the window opened up here when I clicked off the schedule, but said 90% don't make it past 3. So about 2 million podcasts quit don't make it to 3 episodes. But after that, another 90% don't make it to episode 30. So we're past that too now. So we're in the top 1% now.
We're surviving, baby. As the Crazy. Unofficial voice of Wolfpack baseball, we're doing our best. We're hanging tight. I mean, now with our record listenership last week, I don't know. We might have to go syndicated soon.
Right. Then we're going to have our performance this week of how cobbled together this thing's going to come.
Hey, man.
Can you imagine if we brought an expert in to edit these things?
Hey, I say just FYI, I say 0%. I show 0% uploaded right now.
We're gonna give it the old college try. All right, I'm playing the music. Go Pack.